Perfect
right.
Turd Podcast, episode 68. Lamar, we have a special guest with us, the director of a movie that we just watched.
Yes.
Mr. Brooks Davis, the director of Gingerweed Man.
Hey, welcome. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for having me. It's a real honor and pleasure.
It's a pleasure for us, too. Yes, thank you so much for being with us, man. Yes.
Well, you guys have a special place in my heart. You were like the first review of the movie. And hey, it was a good review, too, so thank you for that. But because you were the first guys, I wanted to make sure I was there for you today and do a cool interview and hang out and support your show.
Thank you. So now, just going off of the history of, what you've done. So you started as a second unit and first AD and second AD for the other Evil Bong movies, correct?
I did do that, but actually I started out with Full Moon just as a free intern, unpaid intern.
Oh, wow.
I was doing a lot of freelance commercial work as a production assistant at the time. And all places on Facebook, here was this random ad for internships at Full Moon. And I go way back to like the early Paramount days. So I'm like, let me check this out. I got nothing to do. So went down, ended up being a free intern. I was like, well, this is cool. If I'm not working, I'll hang out here with Charles' band and all the puppets. And that led from just sitting in an office to going on my first feature with them, which was Unlucky Charms. And I was just a production assistant on that. Charlie realized, well, he's the loudest guy on set, telling everyone to be quiet. You pretty much, you've got your full-time like AD, quote unquote. And then I would say about, how long has it been? Maybe about just a little over 4 years ago, he brought me on Full Moon full-time, part of the company. And so, yeah, I'll assistant direct, do second unit, all the way down to if you've got a customer email, you might just get a reply from me. That's how ingrained we are in the company. It's, it's a real small handful of us, so it creates a real nice family dynamic. So we all pitch in and help out, and every now and then we get a reward of a film or something. It's cool.
So what was it like making that transition from doing the first AD stuff and the production system now into writer director? Like,
some of it truthfully hasn't sunk in because it was such a quick thing. Like, basically we were kind of on the verge of, we were doing the Deadly 10, and that kind of stalled out due to COVID and being able to go overseas and do like Subspecies 5 and another project we had over there. So we're all just kind of like, what do we do? And then we just did the Corona Zombie kind of little series of Barbie Kendra.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would say about November, Charlie just called me out of the blue and, oh, we're going to do this monthly thing where you do something a month and you're going to do one. I was like, holy shit. And it was the Gingerweed Man. Holy shit. The one little guy I wanted to do. And from there it was, okay, work on that. Then I jumped on Miskatonic U to help work on that. And as soon as that wrapped, the next day I was full bore Gingerweed Man. But as far as the transition, I think kind of going through it, it was really cool for me. I mean, I've been in production. I've been making movies since '92 out of high school. So this was kind of like a gradual learning lesson. Who needs film school? Just go work at Full Moon. You'll learn from the bottom up. You're a PA running every which way. And then you get good, and then, you show what you can do. And so then Charlie saw, oh, you can edit, you can shoot, you can do this, that, and just kind of like showed what I could do, work my way up. So by the time I got to where I'm at now, it was like, okay. Whew. And all those skills came in handy because, these are like a 5-day shoot with the smallest crew possible, especially with COVID. So you got to wear many hats. You got to know exactly what you're doing. And I think it all just paid off. So this is like boot camp 101. This is like trial by fire. Here's your first movie, shoot it in a week, finish it in a month. What happens?
Wow. Dude, that's awesome. That's great advice too for people that are coming up. Just get in there.
That's my number one thing, get in there, get in as a production assistant and learn what you want to do, buddy up to people. Don't overstep your boundaries because that's the first thing to get you. Oh, hey, this guy, not this guy. But, you just put a smile on your face. You're present. You want to be helpful. Guaranteed someone's going to pick you up under their wing. Don't be afraid of anybody. Get yourself out there and just do it, and you'll never know where it leads.
Absolutely. And then you mentioned with COVID, like, of course, that kind of slowed things down. Like, what was probably one of the hardest things, like when you were shooting and stuff like that with COVID, like,
Yeah, no, it was a big adjustment. When we did like Corona Zombies, Barbie Kendra, that was still kind of the early days, the Wild West days, I guess. And, the first one, we were kind of like, okay, the COVID test was, do you have COVID? No. Okay, cool. It's going to work. By like Barbie Kendra Save Tiger King, we're like, okay, we better wear masks. We better get a thermometer. And, we were still safe, and those movies, we maybe had about at the most 9 people. Then when we got to Miskatonic U, that kind of changed the dynamic because we were going a little bigger. And with that one, especially, it was under SAG regulations because we had some bigger names. And that began the process of, we got to hire a COVID officer on set. So there's another expense. And then their job is to, check you in, wipe everything down. And on top of that, we got to get COVID tests for everybody. And then they get cleared. So that took up another hour. So I think the biggest thing we realized is it's just time consuming. Because, there is that weight on Gingerweed Man. We were a little more lax. We still did the testing and check in and wore masks and, tried to stay as far away as possible. But I'm sure you can imagine on a set especially like day 4, you forget what's going on out there and everyone's buddy and you're like, oh, my mask, oh shit. So I think the main thing with COVID is it's working around the time, sucking time away from your day. But if make everyone comfortable, you're going to have a good set. No one had to bust out a Tom Cruise on anybody. It was all good time and, people respect it. And if anything, it was more like, oh, I do have my mask. I should put it on, or, I forgot to put it back on when I went outside, vice versa. And no one was crazy about it. But I think on our level, it's just kind of it can kill time.
And then, with Gingerweed Man, like, how did that idea come? Because, of course, it came from the evil, Bong series, but it was just like, we needed to add another character. How did Gingerweed just come, how did it come into fruition?
Well, it goes back to Evil Bong 666. And I think at that point, I think we all kind of realized, we kind of have to do something different with the series. We can only be in a bong shop for so many movies. And that's when Charlie said, okay, I've got this idea. This little cracked out weed dude. And it was a little sketch. It was Gingerweed Man. That was that. And I was like, oh, it's cool. It'd be a lot of fun. We all love weed. This would be a cool guy. And at that time, I was just going off the sketch and a little description, didn't see the script. So and like what you guys were talking about, coming to the little British accent, originally it was more of a Matthew McConaughey stoner dude type vibe I was trying to give him based on a friend of mine and everything. It was kind of more like, hey, what's up, man? Let's do the Hot Pocket. So I had that kind of ready to go. I got the script, and in the script, it was very distinct. He has a Boris Karloff accent, to kind of tie into Frankenstein. So I'm like, well, what the hell is this? I've been working on Matthew McConaughey for a week, and now I got to do Boris Karloff. So I started watching Mad Monster Party and some of his old Roger Corman stuff, and was like, okay, kind of get a British, oh, Karloff, that kind of vibe, and then slow it down so it's weeded out, he's stoned, and there you go. So that's how you got the British accent. It's a little nod to Boris Karloff. And so Evil Bong 7 got going and got to bring him back, and that's when he went to Vegas and had his big sex scene on the pool table, which was a trip because the actress was allergic to latex, so he couldn't touch her. So if you ever watch it, that's why he's like going to town in a robe, because we couldn't get latex on the poor actress, because she was a sweetheart and a real trooper, but was like, he can't touch me, I'll break out, especially down there. And then, like I said, after the movies, the Evil Bong franchise kind of went dormant. Kind of like all things, you kind of like let it rest for a minute, either reboot it or see what happens. I think with proper nudging on my end, kind of pushed him into the forefront, like, hey, this could really be a character to carry a movie. We have all these other cool puppets, but they either kill or, don't talk or what have you. And thinking when I got the movie, I was like, this is really the first Charles Band movie where the puppet is the main guy. And so that was the real challenge, was to pull that dynamic off. And I think we did. I hope we did. And that's how kind of the origin of the Gingerweed Man.
Of course, everyone, the movie's streaming on Full Moon Features.
Big 420 event. We're going to have everything streaming with Ouija's Halloween night.
Oh, okay.
So,
nice.
You know where to be with your pipe and celebrate the holiday.
What are your thoughts about that? About the whole thing, like streaming now, is especially after COVID, everyone is so used to streaming and stuff. Is this the new frontier for independent filmmakers?
I think so. I think as much as I love theaters and the theater experience, I've got to admit, streaming is going to become the thing, whether we like it or not. It's just an economical thing. I mean, look at what Warner Brothers did with HBO Max and all their first run movies, and that's doing well. that's just the way it is. It's going to be that way because there's holdouts like us that still like physical media, going to the movies, but let's not forget there's a generation this is all they know. So all they're going to know is streaming. All they're going to know is watching a movie on a phone. And to them, they want that thing. So that's why to me, that's why it's going to overcome. But going back to your other point of the question was, I do think it is the absolute best place for independent filmmakers right now. That's been the great thing about the internet in general. It's been a great place to put your product out there. And I think that's what's changing the playground, is that it's no longer that little secret. Like when I started, it's not like that little secret gate you want to break through to get into Hollywood. You create your own show, you create your own Hollywood, and they come looking for you now. And I think that's the way it's going to be. And I think that's what's great for independent filmmakers is you can put it out there yourself. There's other avenues you can stream it. And lack of a better word, it's getting out there. Whereas before you maybe play one theater because you paid for it, or it's just a matter of showing it to the right people or showing it to friends, taking the tape over or disc or whatever. Whereas now YouTube and you got access to the world. You got to make sure the world finds you, sees it, but you have the access. And I think that's the great thing. I guess my only drawback is I kind of feel like it's starting a little bit of decline in quality of image, where we're getting used to vertical video or, hey, it's in focus, I'm happy, instead of doing some lighting, doing some shots, really taking your time. So I think that's the only disadvantage and downside of streaming in the internet and the independent filmmaking world is you get so many people that, I don't want to be mean by saying they think they can make a movie, but any guy gets their iPhone, they got a 4K camera, boom, boom, boom. I've got a movie. I'm the greatest director ever. It's out there. And no, it's not. But we're setting that stage where if it gets enough views, then people will take you seriously, no matter what it is. It's changed the playing ground. I think ultimately for the good, but there is going to be some bad with it.
So with all that being said, because we of course see that Gingerweed Man right now is in 2 parts, was that like involved in like the writing of it, like because of streaming, or is it just like right now you're going to do just 2 parts and then do like a full length feature? Like will that impact like what's going to happen in the future?
We'll see. The whole 2-part thing, was kind of a head honcho decision. It kind of works for these new movies because we knew it going in.
Mm-hmm.
Like, especially with Gingerweed Man, I knew it was going to be split in 2 parts. And there was always kind of like, well, it's going to be kind of a series, but no, it's going to be a movie. And I was like, well, I just know at the 30-minute mark, let me have a cliffhanger and then let me resolve it in the next episode and leave it open for more. And then you tie it together and then that works. So that was with Gingerweed Man. I knew going in, wrote out the 30 pages, and I thought, okay, first chapter is really just setup. Here's your characters, here's what they do, here's your plot, and then second part is, okay, all this shit, let's go. Let's get the puppets masturbating and have a good time. But I think with Gingerweed Man, it works because, again, it ties into doing it kind of more short form based storytelling.
I liked it in 2 parts for me. I was like, it was a good little chunk, made me laugh. And I was like, oh, I look forward to the next one. So...
And again, I wanted Gingerweed Man. One of the big inspirations was the old Batman series, which was a 2-parter cliffhanger. And I wanted that presented in that way where you did have a good cliffhanger. It wasn't just sort of a middle point. I was like, oh, shit, we have to tune in. Even if we don't want to, we want to. You have to. So, yeah, I'm glad it worked out that way and worked for you guys.
One of the questions from a fan, I guess, we had was about the puppetry and stuff. What goes into making the puppets?
Oh, man. Well, we use the term puppets, but it's almost loosely because it's more of a doll.
Yeah.
Here we go. Over here. We do have, he just was doing a little award show promo.
Nice.
So he's got his bow tie. But essentially, it's just, a little standalone guy like this. For the movie, we had more of a marionette style too. We did the arms moving, what have you. Put you down there, good buddy. So it pretty much involves getting him in a spot, maybe doing a master of him just kind of unfortunately standing there because you can't really hide anybody. And, God, if we had the budget, but we can't like put a guy in a green suit and erase him. That's, that's out of the question. So we'll do like a wide. And if we can, a little bit of movement. And then I'll do a punch in so we can, then get someone to hold the legs, get a little body movement or get the arms to go. And that's kind of in principle photography. It's just that, and I'm over there doing the voice. So, you'll hear the actors and in the background, like, oh, hello, Gingerweed Man. Yeah, blah, blah. So the rough cuts are always fun because you hear my voice off to the weird side, and it's even more British. So by that point, I'm drunk British at that point. Like, oh, yeah, blah, blah, me. Get on with this show. I want to go home. And then once we're done with that, and then we had Buddy. Got little Buddy here, this little guy. And then he was actually on like a little stick that we could operate the mouth at the time.
Oh, cool.
So when you watch the movie, when she's got her hands cupped, we actually have the stick between her hands, and the guy trying to go as low as he can go underneath the table to hide. And then there's of course the swinger scene, so that was interesting because usually there's a poor guy that's got to be the puppeteer, but as there's that one wide shot at the end of that scene where it's like you can't hide a guy to save your life. So I more or less gave the puppet over to the actress and was like, have fun, let's just shoot it. And God bless her. I mean, that was the one scene in the movie that I had to do a lot of cutting to, unfortunately. But I will say, basically, when we shot it, she raped the hell out of that puppet. Saw a tiny fraction of what's in there. I'll even send you guys the uncensored version because she goes to town. The husband's over there watching, doing all sorts of ad-lib lines. Even I was like, how can you cut this? And I was like, well, I guess for pacing, but the poor puppet needed a COVID wipe down after that. Wow. And so once we do all the on-set puppetry that way, then I go in and we have Alan Maxon, who's a motion capture artist, and he comes in and he will actually do the mouth. Okay. And what we do for the mouth is we have a little appliance that's like a full-size Gingerweed Man mouth that he sticks on. Then I'll shoot him, straight on. We go through all the dialogue. And that goes to the effects wizard, Dave Matherly, who did an awesome job on this movie, especially with the time crunch. And then he goes in, does his magic, puts the mouth on, tracks it so it can move, does a little blinking. And by that point, he'll even take out the wires if we can. Because I learned a lot about, you can take out wires, but how they're placed, if they're in front of faces. That was a bit of a learning experience. Like, okay, we can have wires, but hide the wires, So there's another puppetry difficulty is hiding everything the best you can while on set. I've worked with Henson's people before on a commercial, and it's time consuming because it is a lot of work. Like with Henson's crew, one puppet is like 3 people operating that thing at a given time. Whereas with us, it's one guy going, okay, we cool? Sometimes it's me going, okay, here we go. I'm in frame, cool, cut. But yeah, once the mouth is on, the eyes are blinking, he comes to life. Add the voice, and it's like, okay, it's not the best puppet in the world, but it's our little puppet. And that was one thing with this movie. I know we had a super low budget, so I decided let's embrace it. Let's be kind of like a Triumph the Insult comic dog, where it's a shitty little puppet, but you don't care. It's funny.
Yeah,
and
that's the charm of it.
And the audience buys them, the characters buy it.
It has personality, and I think that's what sells it. Like, and I think that's why we're into B movies too. Like, I know personally, I love the B movies where they embrace it. Like,
yeah.
Where it's like super serious and everything like that. It's like, how much money you have. You might as well go crazy. So I feel like what this movie does is like with Gingerweed Man, he has a personality and it's like, that's the movie. Yes. Yeah.
No, great. I'm glad to hear it. I mean, that was exactly it. Again, it goes back to this was a puppet that really could carry a movie, whereas all the others, again, they're either they don't talk or they just want to kill you, which, that's a movie, but you don't want to wake up to this guy and find out what his day-to-day routine is. Or he doesn't present those kind of goofy, funny moments. And that's what really drew me to the character, and I think makes it work better than the others. What I wanted to do, too, is kind of start bringing in all these little side characters. I always kind of envision this as the corner of the Full Moon universe where all the misfit characters can hang out and populate. We maybe a cool character. We maybe never get our own movie, but we're a great supporting character, so we'll pop over here. That's kind of, you see the very, very end of chapter 2, you see we brought back someone else into the fold, and we're going to want to carry that through. And the voice you hear also is a character from way, way back in the Empire days. I think I'm probably the only person that knew it, but I'm like, it was the first Charles Band character I came in contact with, so I'm going to throw him in this little cameo part. And if we do a second one, you'll see who it is, and it'll be a lot of fun.
Well, before we let you go, where can fans and whatnot connect with you online? Social media, the whole thing.
I mean, of course, fullmoonfeatures.com. Check out all the awesome work. I'm on Instagram, ZatoichiX1. If you want to see me reface myself on stupid music videos, pretty much what happens. I'm either making a movie or I'm refacing my body on Cardi B.
Yeah.
So
man,
yeah, you can
really.
find me on Instagram. Again, I'm not that exciting. I'm on Twitter, not that exciting, but trying to be more exciting, you know, as we go, and hopefully have this awesome interview to post and get me a little bit more fanfare there from you guys would be awesome.
Awesome,
Well,
man.
we got Gingerweed Man, so that's enough. So,
Yeah.
Hey,
yes,
you know,
absolutely.
Power in itself. I just hang out. I'm trying to be his wingman, get a little of that side action. That was my favorite part when whoever, I forget who it was, referred to him as a cocksmith. I'm like, someone gets it, you know. My God, he's like my ultimate alter ego. I wish I was green and 2 foot tall. He's getting more love than 6 foot Brooks.
Yeah,
It works.
Gingerweed Man. Check it out. Full Moon Features. The great Brooks Davis. Thank you for joining us.
Thank
Thank
you
you guys
much.
so much. You know, I'm a new fan now. I've been checking out all your older episodes and keep you on my YouTube list, and can't wait to see what more you guys have coming. And anytime I do anything, you guys will be the first to hear about it. And
Awesome.
you're my guys now. You're the first for my movie, so you're in my hip pocket. You're on the journey with me.
Nice.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Cool.
Peace.
Definitely. Take care, guys. Thank you so much.
Yeah, man.
Peace.